Your reaction to this map when you saw it?
You know, it really splits up our urban areas. If you look across the state, so here in Dallas, so in Texas 32, it pairs Carrollton, for example, goes through Richardson and goes all the way out past Longview, over almost 200 miles. And, you know, it's just insane. And then look what they're doing in Fort Worth. You know, they've really carved it up, tagged it up, and then they put downtown Austin and paired it with counties hundreds of miles away. You know, it's desperation. It's a power grab of the worst form, and it's really, I hope the voters are just outraged by it.
Yeah, because we're planning on putting the two District 32s side by side, and, you know, the current and then the proposed. It's unrecognizable.
That's right. I mean, it has no commonality. You know, right now, District 32 is compact. You know, it's an urban district. It has urban issues that we've, you know, advocated for in terms of housing and infrastructure and all kinds of things that affect our district here. And then to pair it in such a gross, gerrymandered way, you know, all the way out almost to the Louisiana line. I mean, think about what that does just administratively for our constituents. You know, part of it is we have to be accessible. We have district staff. We help thousands of people all the time with issues with the federal government. We're covering tax refunds, veterans issues, and all the like. And we need to be accessible to where our constituents can come and come and see us. You know, it is just not practical to expect that burden on the constituents either.
What do you think the objective is here?
To keep Trump in power. They know that Trump and these Republicans have passed some terrible legislation crammed down the throats of the voters that is very, very unpopular. They've dropped double-digit points in their approval ratings. They're underwater. If the elections were to be held tomorrow, they would lose in a landslide. So rather than have policies that the voters support and actually want to vote for, they crammed this crap down our throats, and now they're going to try to rig the maps up to try to prevent losses that they were going to have in November of 26.
What do you do now?
Well, we fight like hell. These maps haven't been passed yet. You know, it still has to go through the legislative process. I have all the confidence in the world in my Democratic cohorts in the Texas legislature. You know, I just came from there. I know those folks well. They have a lot of tools in their toolbox to see if they can't get these maps altered and adjusted. And they have lots of debate and procedural opportunities ahead of them to affect these maps. And we'll see what's able to happen. You know, one thing I've learned from Texas politics and being in the legislature is the bill that gets filed isn't necessarily the bill that gets passed. And so we'll see ultimately what happens and how these maps are ultimately finalized. But then there's the national fight too. You know, who knows what's going to happen in California and New York and other states to push back on this and what the ultimate outcome is going to be.
There's talk of Democrats leaving the state to kind of draw this out. What do you think about that, the effectiveness of that, the practicality, and are you in contact with, Democratic lawmakers in Texas to kind of strategize?
Well, I am certainly in contact with Democratic, my folks in the Texas House. I was a member of the Texas House for 3 terms. A lot of them are very close friends of mine. And so, of course, I'm speaking with them. But, whether or not to do a quorum break, that's ultimately their decision. It's a great sacrifice for each of these members to do that and stand up for our democracy. They have to be out of the state, away from their families, away from their jobs, subject to penalties within the House. It's a great sacrifice. But what we have seen throughout the state and all of these redistricting hearings that have happened. I was at the hearing Monday night in Arlington. Thousands of people are coming out and registering their visceral opposition to this map. I haven't seen anyone testify in support of it. So it's going to be really brazen for Republicans in the House to just flat out ignore the strong objections of voters all across the state.